Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video in which we're going to be playing with a few items of the brand new Pat McGrath collection. I have the brand new eyeshadow palette Venus in Fleurs. I also have the new highlighter, which is Divine Glow, and I picked up one of her blushes, the Divine Blush formula. I even have one of her brand new formula liquid lipsticks to play with. This is the look that we're going to be creating today using all of the products from the collection. Before we get into the video, if you're new here, I'm Yori. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one and find it helpful. If you do, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up while you're watching and consider subscribing to my channel so that you can join our growing makeup family. To my returning subscribers, thank you so much for the continued love and support. I really appreciate it. And a special thank you to the first 5 commenters on my previous video. I love and enjoy hearing your opinions and chatting with you in the comment section. Those that have YouTube channels will have the YouTube logo and be linked in the description box down below in case you're looking for some fun new channels to watch. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into this video. I made my purchase on launch day from the Pat McGrath website, and I did pick up one of the bundles, like I let you guys know in the community tab, that did include a blush of your choice, the new highlighter, as well as the new limited edition eyeshadow palette. I did receive my products fairly quickly, but unfortunately, my eyeshadow palette and highlighter were both damaged in transit, and that's why this video is coming to you a little later than I would have liked. The Pat McGrath team was fabulous. They replaced the 2 damaged items. They just asked me to mention what the batch codes were. They didn't ask me for return shipping or anything like that. When I placed my order, I did take advantage of the bundle price, which was for $112, and that's already at a savings. Plus, they had the 10% off that they usually do on launch days, so I saved even more money. I did decide to throw in one of the brand new lipsticks that I hadn't tried. These retail for $30. Let's start by looking at the eyeshadow palette. Here is the beautiful outer packaging. This is a newer style packaging for her. It opens kind of like a cigarette box, similar to the foundation. On the back side, you have the ingredients list, and this is the Venus in Fleurs Luxe Quad Voyeuristic Vixen palette. The palette is made in Italy, 18-month shelf life, and you do receive 4.9 total grams of product. The inner packaging is very similar to all of the Pat McGrath quads. On the back side, she has started including a sticker that has both the names of the eyeshadow palette as well as the shades that are included, which is something really nice. This is, of course, magnetic closure, and here's what the shades look like. When I saw this shade right here, I immediately thought of Lavendaring, so I want to show you a swatch of Lavendaring compared to that one so you can get an idea of the texture. I'm going to go ahead and show you some swatches. The nice thing about this specific quad is that you're really getting 4 different textures, and you'll see that when I apply the shades to my eyes in the demo look. Here are the 4 shades on my fingers. Here's a close-up of the shades swatched on the back of my hand. So you definitely have 4 finishes here. The lightest shade is more like a satin finish when applied to the eye. You can foil it and get more of a metallic look. This is typically what people will use as an inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight, and such. The next one is Rose Fire Nectar, and definitely the eye-catching shade of the quad. However, this one is very flaky, very shiny, very metallic-y. It reminds me of Lavendaring, which I will swatch for you shortly. We also have the shade After Dusk, which is a beautiful mahogany type of brown. I really like it on my eyes. It gets a little bit of a pink tone to it, like so many Pat McGrath shades do. And then the very last one is Twilight Bronze, which is a really nice glittery shade. It looks really nice applied to the eye. I'm going to apply all of them to my eyes in a close-up so that you can really appreciate the different textures. I keep mentioning Lavendaring, and this one is part of the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in the shade Risque Rose, and it was part of our holiday collection. You know that this was one of my favorites of last year, and I'm gonna go ahead and swatch Lavendaring, and even the texture is different. So I'm gonna swatch it up here. Yeah, so compared to Rose Fire Nectar, Lavendaring is a lot more sheer. And it could be the color, but I also feel that it has a lot more of a sheen if you see it swatched right there. I was so impressed with that formula. I absolutely love that shade. Here you have the eyeshadows from the new palette and then Lavendaring for comparison. One of the things I noticed when working with the palette is that you're going to have fallout, especially with those 2 shades, the Rose Fire Nectar and the Twilight Bronze. They have a little bit more glitter, so when working with them. Even with your fingers or a brush, you can get a little bit of fallout, so I do recommend working on your eyes first. It's something I prefer to do anyway, but definitely with a palette such as this, unless you're going to get glitter all over your complexion products, which wouldn't be ideal. If you are, however, just working with the first two shades, which are Moonlight Liaison or After Dusk, I didn't find any fallout with those. And Pat McGrath mattes usually don't have any fallout, and they blend so beautifully. I do definitely like the palette. It's not going to take the place of the shade Lavendaring in terms of how much I like it, and I do wonder how it would have been to have that shade Rose Fire Nectar in one of her special textures, which she has in her larger palettes. Those I find flake a lot less than this one, even though this one adhered to my eye really well. I did test it over glitter glue as well the other day, and it works really well over glitter glue, so if you want to minimize any fallout throughout the day, then you might want to take that precaution. Overall, the eyeshadow palette is gorgeous. It is available on the Sephora website and it retails for $58. Let's go ahead and talk about the blush next. This is the outer packaging of the blush. It's very similar to the eyeshadow palette. Looking at the information about the blush, this one is made in Italy as well, 18-month shelf life, and you're getting 9.7 grams of product. Here's the blush compact itself, which on inspection, it looks very similar to the eyeshadow palettes, except for these, you have the Pat McGrath Labs brand name listed on the front, as opposed to the logo imagery that she has on some of her palettes. Another change is that these open with a push button, so it's got a little bit of a button that releases the latch, and then the palette opens up like this. A lot of people have complained that it is a little difficult to open. I would suggest just using both hands and maybe using like the side of your thumb is how I've been doing it, and making sure that you're lifting at the same time. Of course, now I'm not going to be able to open it. Okay, there it goes. So that's what it looks like. It does have a mirror on the inside, and the compact is so beautiful. The images of this campaign was absolutely gorgeous. Here's a close-up look at how the powder looks. I do like that on the back side of the compact, the shade name is listed there as well as other information about the blush. When I was selecting my shade, I strategically chose Nymphette because I had been looking at the Sephora website, and on the Sephora website, they had 8 of the 9 blushes, and I was like, which one is missing? And they hadn't even launched on the app yet, but you can see them like coming up, and I noticed that they didn't have Nymphette, and so I figured, okay, since I'm placing an order from the Pat McGrath website, I'll go ahead and order the exclusives from her website, and then if I really enjoy it, then I can always pick some up from Sephora. And so I did choose the shade Nymphette. It is supposed to be like a pink with a golden pearl through it. It is the blush that I'm wearing today, and of course I'll show you a little bit of the application as well. It's a very beautiful shade. One thing I have to mention, that from looking at it in the pan and seeing it applied, they are more pigmented than you might think. So even though some of the blushes look a little bit light, especially in the product images on the websites, they can be built up, and they're definitely a little more intense than you might originally think when you're picking out a shade. So I'm very happy with the shade that I chose. I would definitely consider picking out more. The retail prices of the individual blushes are going to be $38, and again, I have the shade Nymphette. I will link everything down below. This one I will have to link on the Pat McGrath website, but I'll also link to all of the blushes on the Sephora website as well if you prefer to make your purchase from there. But this is just beautiful. Here's the beautiful highlighter outer packaging, very cohesive with the rest of the collection, and you have information on the back side as well. I really like this packaging. It's really pretty. Similar to the blush, the compact is going to have the Pat McGrath's written on the front. On the back side, it just says Skin Fetish Divine Glow Highlighter Golden Nectar, 18-month shelf life, made in Italy, and this one has 4.6 grams of product. She keeps changing her highlighter packaging. I kind of like my products from different brands to look uniform, so that's a little bit frustrating. It's a petty complaint, but it looks like she might settle with this kind of packaging, which is really pretty. It's just like the blush, and we're gonna go ahead and do the opening. And this was also one of the products that arrived shattered when I received it, but here it is. It's absolutely beautiful. It seems to be a different formula. It is the highlighter that I'm wearing today, and I think it's just gorgeous. I do have the other 2 highlighters. I have this one, which was the most recently released one, and then I have this holiday one, which I don't think she'll ever be able to outdo this packaging. I don't know, you let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this one and compare to the other 2. So if you were wondering if this one was going to work on your specific skin tone compared to the other 2, I'm gonna show you some swatches now. I have them swatched on my finger. I don't know how much you'll be able to tell based on that. I'm gonna put them on the back of my hand. And it's interesting because they are all different formulas. All right, so going from the top down, and the top you're seeing the holiday highlighter, which incidentally on me, this one actually pulls a little bit darker, but in the swatches, it's looking like it's one of the lightest. So that's the one in the top. In the middle, you're seeing the most recent highlighter that she released prior to this one, and that's one that I really enjoyed. I actually preferred it to the holiday highlighter in terms of application and how it looked on my specific skin tone. It could be because this one has a little bit of a more golden undertone to it, and the holiday highlighter has more pink. And all the way at the bottom, you're seeing the brand new highlighter. I have to keep an eye on my monitor to make sure I'm in focus and that it is picking up the sheen of the different highlighters. So interestingly enough, in the swatches, this one is looking a little bit darker, but I don't believe that it is. It also feels a little bit thicker in formula, but it applies absolutely beautifully, and I will show you the application of the product as well. Hopefully seeing these swatches was helpful for you. This one I'm gonna have to link for you from the Pat McGrath website, as it is exclusive to her website at this point. I haven't seen it come up on the Sephora app. The other product I mentioned I had was the lipstick. So these are called the LiquiLUST Legendary Wear Matte Lipsticks. And it's interesting because I saw when she released these and then she removed the older ones from her collection. I did an entire swatch video on all of them. I picked up absolutely all of them. So I'll link that up in the cards in case you want to check it out. But I was curious to see if there was going to be any real difference with this formula. I know that the packaging is actually a lot nicer. This is what the packaging looks like now. This one is in the shade Nude Cabaret, and like the blush, I picked it up because it is a Pat McGrath exclusive shade, and it is the one that I'm wearing today. I don't think it's the lightest in the collection. I think it is the second lightest nude in the collection. These are available on Sephora as well, but not every single shade is there, and this is one of the ones that were exclusive to the Pat McGrath website. So same as the blush, I decided to go ahead and pick it up since I was placing an order anyway. So far, I don't really feel any difference between this and the ones from the prior collection. I would say that the applicator is definitely different. It has kind of an angled doe foot. I do find that it picks up enough product to apply in one dip of the product. I like the formula. I think it's pretty much what I expected. I wasn't sure if she changed the formula at all or if she just made it into formal packaging. If you know, I would love to hear in the comment section down below, but I just wanted to try out the formula. It's very nice. It's lightweight. It's, you know, reasonably comfortable compared to a liquid lipstick. It's a little bit drying. I've been wearing it maybe for about an hour right now, and my lips are feeling okay, but I've been really working on my lips lately. I think it's really nice, and I really like the shade. I think it complements the look perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and show you the application of the products. I'm going to focus only on the products from the collection, and everything else that's on my face will be linked down in the description box. So if you're curious about anything else I'm wearing on my face, then be sure and check that out. So you guys know I like to bring you something a little bit different, especially when my videos are delayed. So I have a makeup inspiration page saved on my Instagram, and today I wanted to do this shape right here. The artist name is Jantoski23. I will link that specific post in the description box down below in case you'd like to check her out. She seems to do really beautiful makeup. My final looks never end up looking exactly like the inspiration, but it gives me a point to start. And I thought that the shades in this palette were very much in tune with the shades that she has in her look. I'm going to prime with the Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Eye Base. I have mine in the shade Fair, and I'm only going to prime from the eyebrow down. The reason for that is because I am going to do like a soft cut crease, and then I'll use the primer below that line, and I didn't want to cake too much product. Also running this kind of underneath the lower lash line, since I'm going to go ahead and do the lower lash line before I do the rest of my face makeup. You're going to see my other eye is really red because I actually tried to do the look once, and then I think I went in too harsh, and so I had to take it out, and I had already done eyeliner and mascara and everything, and I just changed my mind about it, and so my eye is super irritated, but that'll tone down by the time I'm done with the video. Now, because I'm only using one matte shade, I'm going to use this Master Eye Prep and Set by Makeup by Mario, and I'm just using the powder, and I'm going to set the eyeshadow primer just underneath the brow, and that'll give me a little bit of blending space since I'm only using that single matte shade. Of course, you can use translucent powder, whatever you have on hand. Now I'm going to take that single matte shade, and I'm going to use a Sonia G Crease 1 brush. This one is in the squirrel hair, and I'm just going to start the shape. I'm going to start even on the lower lash line. I'll eventually touch this up once my foundation and concealer are on as well, especially on this side since my eye started watering. So for the most part, I just try to sketch out the shape really lightly, super lightly. The eyeshadow is pretty pigmented, so you can see I'm holding the brush, well you can't, but I'm holding the brush all the way down at the bottom of the handle. So that's about the general shape. Now I'm going to go in with the same brush on the side to sort of pack the color in the outer V. You probably noticed that I went above my natural crease as I usually do because my eyes are hooded, and of course I have to play with my eye shape quite a bit whenever I do any of these more structured looks. Now at this point I don't have any additional product, and I'm just going in with a Sonia G Mini Booster, and I'm diffusing the color that I put down. You can see I'm using circular motions and kind of the side of the brush so that I can really soften up the look and not leave any harsh lines behind. Pat McGrath shadows, her mattes always blend really well, so you can get a diffused look where it looks like you may have used, 2 or 3 shadows to blend out your look, but really just used one the way I did. Now I'm just going to lightly buff out the edges using the Makeup by Mario brush. I didn't put any additional powder on this. I just used whatever was left over. I'm going to use the same eyeshadow base and an Alamar Cosmetics brush, and I'm using just a bit. I always go on the back of my hand and kind of wipe my brush down so that it's really nicely coated and all of the bristles kind of stay together because of the liquid. I'll probably speed up through this part. If you have a defined crease, you probably wouldn't even have to do this, and I'm so jealous. Once I have that basic shape, I do go back with the Beauty Blender and I soak up some of the extra product because, again, I don't want it to be too heavy. Alright, that looks good, and it is about dry, so I'm not using this as a tacky base like you saw. I took off the excess product with my sponge. So next I'm going to apply this shade followed by this shade. They're not that different in color, honestly. It's more in the texture. This one has a lot more shimmer, and this one is more of a satin sheen. And you're going to see that I'm just going to pack this kind of on the outer part. Once I put the other shade down, you're going to notice the texture difference. This is the Elysium Makeup Alva brush. Now I'm going to use that more satin finish color, and I'm using a Rephr 02. And I'm just going to pat that on, not too heavily because, again, this is a softer look, at least the inspiration photo was. So you can see that this one is a little bit lighter in tone, but it's also, I don't want to call it glittery because these shades really aren't glittery. It's a little less metallic, I would say. It's more of a satin finish, and probably a shade that people are using a lot to highlight, the inner corner or the brow bone in their looks. Hopefully that helps you see the texture difference. Now, before I go in with the final shade, I'm going to take a little bit more of the matte shade so I can make sure and deepen out this outer corner. And now, finally, I'm going to go ahead and use the Rose Fire Nectar. I'm just going to apply it a little bit on the center part of my lid. I'm using just my pinky. You can see it there. It's such a pretty shade. It shifts kind of like pink-orange. It's very pretty. You can definitely pack this on over like a glitter glue, for instance, and you would get a really impactful look. But I'm going just for a slight sheen here, so you can see the difference there. The camera's picking up really nicely, so I'm glad I could at least show you the different textures. And I don't know if you saw, but when I put it on, it looked not cakey, but it does look a little bit flaky, but you can blend it out. It does have fallout. I had fallout on the other side of my eye too, but I didn't even bother cleaning it because I knew when I did this side, I was gonna have to clean my face off again. So there you have it. That's all 4 shades applied. I just love it. Now I have to say, I thought that shade was gonna be like Lavendaring in one of my favorite palettes. It's close, but it's not quite. I can't say it's the exact same formula. And that is the eye look. I finished it off with one of my favorite eyeliners. I'm not gonna stop until everybody has these in their collection. This is the High Def Cyan from MAC. I love it. So that's what you're seeing on my waterline. On my upper lash line, I used one by Urban Decay. Here it is, the 24/7 Glide On Eyeliner, shade 0, which is their black. For mascara, my New Love Lancome Tint Idole mascara, and I did put on falsies. I don't remember what these are right this second, but I will link all that in the description box, and once I finish my look, I will give you a close-up so that you can see everything complete. But basically that's the eye look, and it's really pretty even just as is without the blue. Super pretty. I'm gonna finish up. I'll be back to show you the blush and highlight. Today's look has been a journey, but that's okay. It sometimes happens. Here is the blush that we're going to be using today. It is the Skin Fetish Divine Blush, and I picked mine up in the shade Nymphette, and here's what that looks like. Very beautiful pattern. I'm going to go ahead and apply the blush, and I'm using the Sonia G Soft Cheek Brush. As you can see, it's a very pigmented blush. I went in with 2 dips of my brush, and here we are. This is supposed to be, I believe, one of the ones that has pearl throughout. I wouldn't call it shimmery though. And now last but not least, we're gonna go ahead into the highlighter. And this one is the Skin Fetish Divine Glow Highlighter in the shade Golden Nectar. Oh, this one goes really nicely with this blush. The highlighter definitely has a peachy shift to it, which makes sense since it's a golden nectar. I think it's very appropriately named. My lip color is one of the Pat McGrath liquid lipsticks from the new formula. This one is in the shade Nude Cabaret. And like the blush, I also picked this one up because it was exclusive to the Pat McGrath website. And that's what you see me wearing. I'm wearing it with one of the MAC lip liners in the shade Spice. Alright, so this is the finished look. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I can't say it's 100% like the inspiration photo. I may have to stop doing the extended inner corner because my eyes are just so deep set. I don't know if it's looking absolutely perfect, but I tried and I had a good time doing it. Now let's go ahead and go over the product. With regard to the eyeshadow palette, I really like it. I enjoy unique textures with eyeshadows. It's one of my favorite things about playing with makeup, and so I really like the palette and I really like the Fire Nectar shade. I also was pleasantly surprised with the Twilight Bronze shade with how it applied and how it looked on the eye just on its own. Hopefully you got an idea of how that looks during the demo. The matte, just as beautiful as it usually is. The more satin finish shade, also just as beautiful as they usually are. So I think that this is a very nice sampling of the types of textures that Pat McGrath is capable of doing. Unfortunately, none of those really special shades that she has put in the larger palettes, and she did have once in some special edition quads as well. Overall, if you're looking for a palette that's easy to use, that's going to be wearable for every day, this isn't going to be the easiest to work with palette just because the textures are a little bit different and the 2 shades on the right are a little bit more flaky. They require a little bit more time, a little bit more finesse, but I think the end look is absolutely worth it if you're willing to put in the time. With regard to the blush, I'm really happy that she finally released blushes. We were all waiting for so long for her to release blushes, and she did it very well when she finally did. I think that the shade selection is really nice. They're very pink heavy in my opinion, but she loves pink. I like the shade that I chose. I love how buildable it is. I was really thinking this shade is actually one of the lighter ones. I think in the swatch photos, it might be the 3rd in the list. So it's one of the lighter ones, and even me having a light medium skin tone, it really builds up and it really shows up on my skin really well. So I do like that you can build up the color so that you can get the desired intensity. I really like them. I mean, they're really pricey as blushes. I think this is at the price point of like a Chanel blush or something like that, and it's beautiful. It applies beautifully, but it's kind of pricey. With regard to the highlighter, I really enjoyed it. I like the peachy tone on my skin because I have more of a golden or olive undertone. Those shades seem to flatter me a lot more than pinks, and I actually liked it. The holiday highlighter I didn't initially love at the onset. It was actually one of my least favorite products from the collection, and this one I actually like because again, it kind of goes with my undertones. Right now, there's nothing really super special that I'm noting about the formula, but it was only my first time wearing it today, so I'm going to keep playing with it and I will definitely report back. I already spoke at length about the liquid lipstick. I like it. I think it's fine in terms of a liquid lipstick. I love the shade. I think it goes so well with the look we created today. Overall, I'm really happy with the makeup look. I hope you enjoyed it. Whenever my reviews come a little bit later, I try to give you something a little bit different. I know that I could have done, you know, the typical smoky eye shape, but I wanted to do something a little bit different since I know my video is late. So hopefully you still enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. I've been uploading quite a bit lately and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I would love to have you join me. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing really, really well and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.